Welcome to the Kids Table, where the conversation is about fitness, but the maturity level is questionable.
I'm Jen Wiederstrom.
Yeah, we know, and I'm Gunnar Peterson. We've got this down. Anyway, we invite you to pull up a chair as we talk fitness, the business of fitness, and the down and dirty systems of success.
It's informative, it's inspiring, it's where everybody wants to be.
This is the Kids Table.
Today's episode is powered by Yeti and Train Heroic, the go-to platform for the go-to coaches and trainers.
This is
So wait. Let me give her the lead in. So Jen was a massive fitness star and then had a huge, I would say, downturn. Couldn't get a job.
But here's the problem. I can never know if I believe him. What's the words coming
Just
out?
buy in.
No, let's give him a little more runway.
No, but anyway, but she was American Gladiators.
I didn't know that.
She was Phoenix.
There's a lot of footage if you
Was it
just
Phoenix?
Google Phoenix. Yeah,
100%
American Gladiators.
Phoenix. Oh, you got to see the fucking wings.
True story. There's like four different sets of wings they built, and they were
I
all
threw the hammer in college. I'll throw you, and she was just wrecking bitches. And
It did pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, and
I'm scared now. A little bit.
and then couldn't get arrested, and got sent to me as a model
Yeah.
for a product I did with a friend. It was a pre-workout product. She came to do the modeling for the IP that we did. Because we did workouts to go with the pre-workout type
So
product.
awesome.
She walked in, I'm like, this chick's doing fitness modeling? That's comedy. She was like a TV star.
That's crazy.
But
when was that picture?
I mean, this had to have been 2010 or 11. Don't you? I mean, it had to have been early. It was The product was 14 to lean.
So one of the movements, obviously, was the barbell squat. So I lifted the 50 pound, I put it on her, and her quads were like, and I go, clearly you've never squatted. And the guy behind the camera goes, and then he goes, I'm sorry. And we had to retake it because he laughed.
Oh my God.
And that's what it was. I just knew I had to do there and demo while he explained. But then I started talking. When I knew he was talking shit, I started talking shit. And then I remember, I feel like after that day, I had kind of, would you mind unplugging that fridge, Lily? Sorry, it's full of this, our amazing water here. What is that? The No Days Off water?
This is a sparkling too.
Yeah.
She got the still.
Thanks, sweetheart. We're in a working gym, everybody. So we're just gonna have to deal with this. But yeah, no, and I think by the end I'd kind of earned some stripes with Gunnar, and he was like, "I'll invite you to the next fight night," kind of a thing. I got invited to something cool because I wasn't like a loser.
Because you could squat better than everybody.
She could squat the 50 pound barbell.
I was fine.
That'd be so
Yeah,
exciting.
that was it. So it had to be it. Yeah, and of course I knew
Oh
who
my
he
gosh.
was, but to do Gladiators, we were on and off the air so quickly that it was truly my 15 minutes of fame. It's like, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can go back to bartending in Chicago and be like the cool girl with the hot pink hair. And then,
You had hot pink hair.
yeah. Listen,
I feel like you lived a few lifetimes. We're going to
shaved-
have a lot of
One time she showed up
conversations tonight.
at a strength conference just after I'd known her for a while, had the whole side of her head shaved.
yeah,
I was like, cool, I didn't know you were a lesbian. That's awesome.
100%
Did you
what
wear
he said.
jorts when you had the shaved head?
Did I wear what?
Jorts when you had that?
No.
Okay, good.
No, but I did drive a Subaru for a time, and that was a whole
there
nother
you go.
thing from
Yeah.
this guy.
That's it.
This was my costume.
I didn't
Oh
know,
my gosh.
I didn't
And
know
it
you-
has the wings.
I didn't know you drove a Subaru.
Okay, after listening to our
That is awesome.
after listening to our podcast, I realized I laugh so hard and so loud on here. And I
But
told
it's good.
Michaela, you have to just get me to tap it down. And I just did it again.
I never noticed.
Scissoroo. You jerk. Hey, what's it called when two lesbians are on their period? Finger painting.
That's disgusting.
We might have to live. I literally just heard. I just sent
Look,
this
if
to you on
you look
Instagram.
closely, you can see our last sponsor leaving.
And your wife is like, she's not staying. She's not staying at the house this time. No, that's
Speaking
I just
of that,
yeah.
Susan Johnson. Look at that.
What a
I've never
segue.
had such a good segue.
Just lean into the finger painting part, not the first part of the joke.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not very artistic.
You're an artist of the human heart.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just 180.
Functional medicine.
Yep.
But I'm going to get to the kicker. See how I did that?
That's
Because
clever.
her son's name's Kicker. Her son.
Oh, okay.
That's right. But the kicker is you were a functional medicine practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And then your son was diagnosed with
Leukemia.
And then you really had to raise your game
Yeah.
and apply everything. No more shortcuts, no more cheats, no more this. And you hunkered down and took not only your skill set, but your whole industry and raised the bar.
Yeah.
Fair?
Fair.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, but that was the big thing is like my job was to keep people healthy.
Right.
Like, a trainer and all of a sudden you get fat. That's kind of embarrassing.
How dare you?
You guys won't. But if that was to happen, yeah. And so just to have that, like, wow, it was embarrassing.
Well, now it's like proof is in the pudding. Like, okay, really?
Yeah.
Some little supplements, some little like face east and do this and morning sunlight and butthole sunning and all that. Sure. And now you're like, I better put this to work. And
yeah,
it raised the stakes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we should flash forward just so nobody's hanging in the balance.
I was going to say.
Her son is great now.
Super healthy.
I had dinner with him. Not alone. That would be creepy. But I would. He's well beyond his years. Like he's
good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
He doesn't talk to strangers.
Subtitle there. But then to super fast forward, you and Jess pursued.
No, my wife. This was
season.
I know season
Monroe.
because of my wife. Because
I want to just close the loop real quick.
So to close the loop, I'm going to go back to your son's leukemia because harrowing as they all are. When our daughter Monroe was diagnosed, we were at Vanderbilt. Excellent. Everything was great. People were great. They were open to different approaches, but they held the line with their own, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we kind of, my wife wanted more. She needed more. And there were certain things that weren't. I've heard you talk on other podcasts about the caliber of food in hospitals. There's nothing like that's not a new topic, but my wife needed more and better. And she left no stone unturned and she pushed and pushed and pushed. And she found season and she came and she goes, I met this lady. And I'm just thinking, how much is this costing? And oh my God. And we also have to pay in time. I have to do a Zoom with her. Oh my God. And we got on the Zoom and I think, my first date with my wife, her body language was like this.
Oh.
I'm like, I can read that. And I would say my body language was probably like this when I got my first call with you.
Was that fear, uncertainty? Is this snake oil? Is she legit?
Yeah, I was just here. And so then by the end of the call, I was like this.
Yeah.
And my wife goes, I love her.
And how far into your practice were you before the Petersons met you?
Well, I've technically been practicing for 16 years, but cancer specific, about probably 6.
How do you approach disarming someone like Gunnar?
Yeah.
Obviously, even his pedigree tells you he knows about health. He knows about bullshit. You're not going to pull anything over on him. How do you approach a parent that's afraid of what their child's going through and with that much knowledge base to say, give me just a few minutes to tell you something to get them on the line for hopefully another 20 minutes of sharing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer for you, but I will say this. And never at any point did I feel like it was a pitch. Never at any point did I feel like she was piling on with the supplements because she was remodeling her kitchen and needed to pay for it. Never, ever felt like that.
It's a big deal.
Felt like we're doing this. And I will say, to a degree, a disclaimer of we're going to try this. And if it doesn't go the way I'm anticipating it will go, we can back out and we can try this or we can double down. And so there were always that she had, it's like if she were an offensive coordinator, she had the plays for that series of downs. And if, she was thwarted, she had the defensive plan for how to get the ball back and then push forward and go on another side of the field.
Yeah.
So that was soothing.
Well, and you have to be willing to shift gears. Like when kids are in the middle of treatment and stem cell, bone marrow transplant, it is overnight things can change. So you have to be willing to shift gears, change plans.
You do. I don't know that everybody, a lot of the people
standard of
But doesn't that come with confidence saying, hey, we're going to look at this and customize a care plan for this individual or this child. But having, I think, the reps under your belt to do that, I think is where maybe that's the difference. But
to Susan's point, standard of care, there's a protocol you follow start to finish. And it's like when you get a prescription, right? You're supposed to take the whole prescription until it's done. You're not supposed to go, oh, the symptoms are gone, I can get off this, whatever it is, flu medicine.
Yeah.
Right? You're supposed to see it through. Yeah. And for the parents who are watching the kids suffer for a lot of it, it's hard. So when you were open to backing out or shifting, as you said, that's soothing to a parent.
Well, and I think part of it, to answer your first question and to go off that, is I've been there. Like, I walked that road. So I think right away that gives spouses who are a little bit hesitant or kind of like unsure, it gives me a little bit more credibility, because they're like, okay, this chick knows what she's talking about in this sense that she knows what it's like to walk this road of pediatric cancer.
Show me your kid. Prove it.
I thought you were going to say something else. Oh, I was like, we are derailing again. But yeah, I think that number one, and then to your point of this standard of care, that's why I'm so passionate about it, and why I'm the first to admit I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm not the smartest functional health practitioner, but I know pediatric cancer, and I know how important it is to individualize care, because like you saw with Monroe and for Kicker, this is your diagnosis, this is your weight, this is your protocol. And very rarely will they deviate from that. And one of the biggest things that we see is, like, if they would just personalize it, like get to know their genetics and understand not the tumor genes, but their actual genes that they were given, understand their gut health, understand their health history, like preconception, all of these things, like the outcomes would just be different.
It's fascinating.
Preconception is just foreplay, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I can't even.
I'm sure I got that.
Which is true.
It's crazy that we have so much personalized health systems. That's all we're doing in the fitness and health world, like personalized blood work and personalize your Whoop score, but we're not personalizing cancer treatments or illness treatments. And I'm wondering if the real difference with you is you're not selling, you're just telling. You're like, this is what I've seen. This is what I know so far. I think one of the greatest things about great leadership and great healers are knowing what you don't know. Yeah. But saying, this is what I can offer, this is what I know, and we can pivot. And it's less about ego and it's more about care. Totally. And I think the people that really care in any wellness field are the ones that will always thrive and honestly will see the most success. Because I think, I'm wondering, how much is what you're offering knowledge from experience, and how much of what you're offering is instinct? And where do they meet?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think the experience is what lays the foundation of even just, it's like you jump in the shoes, so you know exactly what it feels like, but that kind of creates the instinct as well. But I will say, oh my gosh, like from when Kicker went, the amount of stuff I've learned. Walk us
through his plight.
So yeah, I mean, I'm doing like with Monroe's protocol. God, I wish I had that for Kicker even. Like there's just so much more I've learned. So when Kicker was diagnosed, he was almost 3. And he was, healthy. It was really humbling. I was a practitioner. He was healthy. He went from breast milk to bone broth. Like the kid was your typical crunchy mom, natural kid. And he's diagnosed. We immediately realized we can't leave the system. I didn't know that when we were diagnosed. I thought we had a choice. We could call our, functional team and get their input. Like, hey, this is what you should do. Maybe we'll go to Germany. Maybe, and they're like, you can't leave the system. So that was pretty upsetting.
So where at the time, where were you? Nazi Germany?
We were. Right? Felt like
That's
that.
That's wild. You can't leave the system.
You cannot leave the system.
It's my kid. It's my money. It's my kid, and I do this for a living. It's like if somebody in my family was fat and unhealthy, and they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Here's a GLP-1," and they said, "Okay, I'm going to go train with."
And they said no.
You can't. You're on the GLP-1s.
Yeah.
You need to stay the course here. Please do not go to that gym.
So the day after we met with the team, and they told us their plan, 3.5 years of chemo every day, all this horrible stuff.
That's rough.
I said to the nurse the next morning, I'm like, so we're going to leave tomorrow before he starts his chemo because we need to meet with our other team. And the lady looked at me and she's like, where do you and your husband leave? I'm like, well, no, we're all leaving. I want them to see Kicker. She says, honey, if you leave, he'll be part of foster care and you could be arrested.
That's the wildest
I'm like,
thing.
how is this real life? But it is.
What year was this?
2013.
1865.
This is still today, though.
It is
This
still
is
so
still
the
the
policy
same.
is unchanging.
Correct. There, and you can look up like Amish trial Amish kid that left treatment and they've been on trial because the Amish don't love medicine. So they really don't want to do it. There's been multiple records of them, and then they get held against their will at the hospital, given treatment. And here's the thing, like every law has a reason. So obviously there are the people that they're just lazy. I don't understand this, but they just don't care enough about their kid to like take them to treatment. So maybe that's why the law's in place. I don't know.
But the system is so burdened with so many other things.
Yeah.
For them to actively and willfully go after a parent who's seeking a different care protocol seems like they're shouldering themselves with something that they don't need and frankly don't have the capacity to handle. Like, how are you going to take on another
Which
dependent?
Is why the care is so standardized, because they don't, even if an oncologist wanted to do better, and many do. I mean, there's some amazing pediatric oncologists, but they don't even have the time to try to do better. They are like you just said, there's too many cases. They are risking their license if they go outside of standard of care and outside of the children's oncology group. But all that said, too, I want to make it clear, like, I think chemo and radiation and surgery can all play a role, but we can't let that be the only option. Like, that's asinine. We're taking a kid that has cancer and making them sicker.
Science changes because we learn more.
Right.
And it's one of the few categories of wellness that are unchanging because of fear-based protocols that are given by doctors. I have my friend's sister that's gone through a lot of cancer treatment, and they went their own direction. And she didn't do any of the chemo, any of that. She had a very, very aggressive brain tumor, and she's thriving. And I think to see my friend go through it and the amount of stress he carries is like, am I killing her? Mm-hmm. Because the doctors say, if you don't do this, your chances are very slim. Yeah. And they really place this burden of responsibility. If you go this way, our doors are shut. Yep. You're going to kill her. And by the way, and again, thriving, couldn't be doing better. But it's hard because it's that more alternative treatments are very hard to access and just as expensive, if not more, because I think there's a part of financial component to, well, we have health care that it pays for this standard of care system. And then what do we do? I mean, we raised a GoFundMe for her, and it's like, it's the money's gone. Yeah. And so how do we take care of this volume of cases that are cropping? Like, cancer used to be an old person's disease. Now it's like everywhere. And it's a whole nother podcast, but like, I'm like, that's why I think what you're doing is so,
you touched on
important.
Something. I don't know if it was when I met you and your family, or it was on a podcast I saw you on, and you talked about how the current treatments can also produce cancer down the line, right? And so talk about that, and then I want to tell you something that we had, and when you said that, a light went off for me. Yeah.
So to your point, there's so many alternative therapies that can be helpful that are absolutely necessary, because standard of care, which is chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, and then some other medicines. For cancer, they can kill what we call the daughter cancer cells, okay? Mm-hmm. What they can't touch is the stem cells. And so this is where in functional medicine and herbs and food and powerful supplements and off-label drugs come in to pull the roots up.
And just to be clear for people, daughter means that the original cancer, the original reason it was there, it produced additional cancer cells in daughter cells. So that's why you're saying root versus daughter. So people, okay, I want to understand that clearly.
That's the best.
So they're getting the ones like the offspring of this original root cause, but they're not taking care of the root of the issue.
The stem. And this is the problem with chemo, is it can make the stem cells more powerful and make them get creative and mutate, and they want to stay alive. Mm-hmm. So that's where when we're told, like, congratulations, ring the bell, you're cancer free, they pat you on the butt and you head out on your way, that's criminal. They don't tell you anything to follow up, except like come for labs every 3 to 6 months. Mm-hmm. You're like, so I came in with cancer, number one, so I was pretty sick. now you obliterated my system. And maybe, yeah, the cancer is gone. But let's talk about like, what do I do now? Because the number one side effect of a lot of chemos is also secondary cancer. And is that because of the drug toxicity or the stem cell?
So hang on. You said that's a result oftentimes of the chemo. Our daughter had the bone marrow transplant, Monroe, and it took for a second, the neutrophil number bumped, and then it went away, and she only had a certain amount of time, and we were going to do another bone marrow transplant, and they said, we've never done them back to back this close. And what the one doctor said while my wife was in the room, and she had this notebook because she monitored literally every person who came in the room, everything that was administered, the dosage.
Beast. She's a beast.
She's a beast. And she had this notebook, and the guy said, I don't know what to tell you. You are in uncharted territory. There is no data. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to snap. She's either going to fly across the desk and choke him out, or she's going to just burst into tears and lose it. She said, she closed the notebook and she goes, thank you very much for your time, doctor. We're going to go make some data. And I was like, if you could put the Rocky music on right now. This
like
is
we need to
the
recreate that whole scene.
But hang on, let me finish. So we go back, and then she did the second, she was scheduled to do the second stem cell transplant, and they did a thing called TBI, total body irradiation. And it's literally like putting your kid in a microwave, right? And she was tiny. She had lost so much weight, and the pictures are horrific, just like so many people that have to deal with this.
What percentage did she lose? We talked about this.
Yeah, she lost close to 20% of her body weight. And I said to them, I was so worried because of my meathead status.
Correct.
Right? Card carrying member.
Yeah.
I was so worried about the weight drop. And they're like, that's not a big deal. I go, it is a big deal. It's 20% of her weight. And I go, she has nothing to fight with. She has no extra anything to fight with. She's Skeletor. Like, she has nothing. Like, I was taking syringes of peanut butter and just in her mouth just for the calories. Let's go.
Yeah.
But so as they were going to take her in for that, the doctor so casually said, and I don't want to misquote him, but he said something like, just to let you know, if you elect to go forward with this, there is the risk that down the line, another cancer could be formed. And I go, hey, hang on, what? And my wife goes, I don't understand. And I said, I want to just break this down, layman's terms. Did you just say that this could cause a cancer in 20 years, a different cancer? And he goes, yes. And I thought, well, checkmate, right? Because so if we don't do it, she's done. And if we do it, it's like you're buying time. And I said to my wife, I think what we have to hope for is that if she does develop another cancer, God forbid, down the line, that in that same amount of time, they will have figured out a cure or a practice, or season got better, and we can get rid of that one too. But it's a very weird position, right? It's a super checkmate position. That's what it felt like.
When I think about the situation, and this is kind of a fun conversation to have, because I think a lot of people maybe. I think a lot of people are in roles of care and for people. Yeah, here's the fun spin on cancer. Well, I just think about your situation with Monroe, and I think about Jess's diligence and that Rocky theme moment. And I think if everybody had a Jess in their corner, a lot more people would survive.
Correct.
And then I think about, okay, well, who was in Jess's corner? You were. And then I think, where do you restore your emotional well, your spiritual well, to not make any promises to any parents, but to know that you're the one holding it together for the person that's the anchor of that family? And right, like, where does that come? Because I think there's a lot of people that are in care. I don't think you just have to do what you're specializing in to feel this pressure. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering where you would reestablish that balance or fill your well week over week, patient after patient, because obviously not everyone makes it all the way, but I think they have a better chance with you. Yeah. So where do you put it all?
I think that's a really good question. And I'm sure I could have like a monthly membership to some sort of a psychologist to like dump, but that's when you know you're in your calling, right? It's when you I do wake up in the middle of the night and think about Monroe, or I think about Tatum, or I think about Charlie. So it's a heavy lift for sure.
And you think about Josh too.
Sometimes It depends on how
trying.
many.
That's her husband, everybody.
I'm trying, Josh. I'm trying to keep you in the game.
A little bit here and there. But I think that it's the evidence that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Right. And yeah, it's heartbreaking. I mean, I will say it always ebbs and flows. You probably experience this in life. Like it comes kind of in seasons where it's heavy. It's a heavy season and we've lost kids or, we get bad results. But then the wins of like, I have a little girl, Tatum, she's 2, Down syndrome, pretty aggressive cancer. And she, as soon as we started working together, they found me 4 weeks into diagnosis, which is such a gift when I can connect with them that early.
Yeah.
180. The kid's eating now. She's jumping around. She's playing with her siblings. And so it's those moments when I get pictures of like another little girl, Spency, going to soccer, 5 years old, after she left chemo and radiation. That day went to soccer practice. So it's that keeps me going.
Can I ask, I'm going to just take over the whole conversation, Gunnar, sorry. I'm wondering if you guys have gotten feedback, because some of my friends that are going through alternative cancer treatments, I already told you about the one, that are starting to thrive and come together and really show energy and vitality. And they're getting feedback online like, oh, you don't look very sick to me. Do you get that kind of pushback from or feedback from people, and how do you navigate that with the families you work with? Because it's like, well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Right.
But I think part of it is the disbelief of alternative medicine.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's something in the middle where it meets in the middle on that.
I don't get it as much now with my clients. I get a whole lot of we should talk about my most recent reel that about sent me to jail. I might go to jail soon.
We want to hear that story.
We'll talk about that.
We will bail you out.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
We will collect it.
Done.
Yes.
Agreed. But when Kicker was going through treatment, he did not look like a cancer patient. He didn't act like one.
Did he lose his hair?
For literally, like it started to come out in delayed intensification, which is this short period of leukemia treatment that's like uber intense. That was the one time he threw up. They increased his chemo by like 600% because he was doing so well. They wanted to make sure it was working. He vomited that night.
By the way, she was, just for the people listening, she was using like quote fingers, like this is not what. You did not love those protocols.
You guys are fun to watch.
Well,
I feel like they
we
should
think
watch
so.
and listen.
People are moving and grooving in life, but
So that night he got that day he got the highest chemo. He threw up one time during treatment, fluorescent green, burnt a hole in his pillow. And that's when his hair started to fall out. We shaved it and it grew back pretty quickly. So yes, for a period of time, he looked like he had cancer and that was really hard. It's like heartbreak. It's so stupid to most people that your hair, but it makes you look like you have cancer.
Monroe, literally, we have pictures of Monroe. She looks like she's an extra in Avatar. Like it's wild.
Do you remember? Gunnar sent me this overhead shot. Monroe was standing down in front of him and just an aerial view of her hair because she just had a little patch, and he was a picture of my new accountant because she was like starting to get a little. She was kind of coming
the way
over
to the side.
But I think that's part of the mindset that you give your kids is everything. I mean, you were like, hey, nose hose, come over here, jump rope with that thing. Like the way, like she didn't act like she had cancer because she wasn't treated like she had it.
Correct.
And I feel like you're saying the same thing. Like,
yes.
There was that one time when he threw up, and burned a hole like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an insane story, but it's the way the family either dramatizes it or says, hey, you're cool. We got this.
That, and if you have a Jessica that is willing to step in and go, we are changing this, we're changing this, we're changing this, and we're doing this.
But Monroe did have a lot of throwing up. A lot of just going to the bathroom even when she got home 15, 16, 17,
when
18.
when I first started working with you guys, that was the biggest issue was her bowels and her stomach.
And sitting on the toilet, shrieking and kicking. Yeah. And then we had to take pictures of it all to upload it. Like if you looked at my phone, you're like.
He tried to show me a photo once and it was just like 90% of the pictures were
poop photos. Totally.
And I was like, okay. But it was him and Jess. Like it was their running log of how she was doing day to day.
I mean, when Jess sent me not a picture, I didn't get a poop pic. I don't charge enough to get a poop. No, I'm just kidding. I would totally look at Monroe's poop.
I'm sending you 10 today.
Yeah, I'm like, you
vintage.
Real.
But when she told me, she's like, Monroe just had a solid poop. And I remember her, and I was like, I mean, that's such a win. Like
the hugs and the high fives for that, even to Monroe, when you would look at it was, I thought it's either how far have we fallen or how far have we risen. It's just what you celebrate, right?
Yeah,
those wins,
yeah.
we'll take all those wins.
Yeah.
So go with kicker. So
yeah, he did so well. Like we would sign him up for sports. He skied, he did jujitsu. That was a little rough because of the port. We were always a little worried.
yeah.
But when you have to sign on a form, like any health conditions, I'd put cancer. And it was always kind of funny.
Wow.
Because, I'm always like, this will be interesting. And you hand it in and you see the guy like,
It's quite a flex.
yeah, kind of, yeah, totally. It felt a little bit like a flex.
Yeah.
So we did get that. Like, well, your kid looks too healthy to have cancer. And he did. So 3.5 years, he was never hospitalized one time during treatment for opportunistic infection. He was hospitalized for scheduled stays. We walked into our oncologist one time, and this is where you start to recognize how broken the system is when it comes to nutrition. Our oncologist was about my age, which at the time was like 16, because it was only 10 years ago. He's sitting at his desk with a Diet Dr. Pepper and a bag of flaming hot Cheetos. Okay. And we're having a meeting to go over Kicker's labs.
Now that's a flex.
Okay. You and Josh.
Dude,
yeah.
that used to
Josh
be
I
my
don't eat
favorite
that stuff.
snack.
Oh, you don't? Josh
No.
is like eyeing the Cheetos like, so he's doing that. Kicker sets down. We had just come from the house. So he had his boiled eggs in a bag and green juice.
Yeah.
And the doctor said to him, "What's that, buddy?" And he called, for whatever reason, he called eggs rotten eggs. I don't know why. So I'm like, great, I'm going to go to jail for
Yeah,
this.
like going to jail again.
Yeah, again. So he's like, my rotten eggs and my green juice. And the doctor looks at me and goes, "That's pasteurized, right? It's not like raw." I was like, "It's raw." And he, gave me this whole lecture on how unhealthy and unsafe this is. And I did, Josh, again, it was with that moment, Josh is like, she's going to reach across the table and punch this dude in the face. And, there's just such a disconnect at that point.
Is the disconnect because the doctors are not just defending what they think they know, but it's a belief system that they've invested their entire existence on.
Exactly.
And now I'm asking you to believe something else. I'm saying, actually, the Bible is fake. This is the book you should be reading. It's a belief system. It's not just knowledge, right?
Totally.
Is that part of the resistance?
They don't do nutrition. Nutrition is not required for.
But it's
oncologists.
also it's a belief
for
system.
any doctor. Sorry to shout over you.
It's a belief system, and they've seen it through enough times successfully, more so than before they had that belief system, before the knowledge that they have, right? Prior to that, they didn't have that, and more people not coming through it, right?
Well,
so then they get this
that's a
knowledge,
great point.
they get
You're
these
not
treatments,
wrong.
and they go, "Hey, these are working," and then they're looking at you going, "You're the layperson, you're the outsider. You don't know what we know. You didn't go to medical school." Not that that's a flex, it's a different thing. So they have a different body of knowledge, and they've seen it in action, and they've seen it be successful. So for you to come in and go, I've had 2 patients who've had green juice and rotten eggs and they're fine. Mm-hmm. That's not enough for this guy with the mountains of data that they've.
But I'm going to put it in training terms. We have a good friend of ours, and he's been a guest in our podcast. His name's Cal Dietz. He's a mad scientist. He's a wildly educated and highly experiential strength and conditioning coach. Like, he's been at University of Minnesota for 25 years. And one of my favorite things about him is he's always been like pushing the science and the data on protocols for athletes and performance. And along the journey, he has believed this mountain of data to be true, and then collects enough new data that says, actually, I was wrong about that. And I see why all these pointed to that direction.
Yep.
But what I'm seeing now with new information and new athletes, it actually means this instead. And I can admit that I was wrong and pivot.
That's
and I'm wondering, is it ego?
But he wasn't wrong. He was right with what he had and what he knew at the time.
Correct.
And then you go, oh, there's new data. Mike Boyle also does the same thing. He's like, I believe this and this, and now I know this and this.
Yeah.
And I think it's just evolution,
But you have to be willing to adapt. You have to be willing to drop your ego for the $500,000 you spent in medical school and the however many years and hours. Like, that's a lot of time. Like you said, they've given up so much of their life to go to medical school.
Yes.
So how dare a mom come in that's a nutritionist and question anything? But again, to your point, also the ego has to drop if we're going to ever evolve. And not that I'm not saying that all these doctors are cocky. I'm just saying it takes a lot to admit, you know what? I have seen that nutrition does play. There's so many freaking studies now that show that nutrition plays a role.
Go back 2,000 years, more than that. Chinese medicine, nutrition is the healer. Like just even farther, nutrition. It's the fuel, so it fixes, so it heals. There are so many things you can do with it. I'm not saying just that, and we have evolved medically so many different ways, and I've seen it from the front lines. And we had some phenomenal doctors at Vanderbilt, phenomenal, and people calling in, and we had resources from different institutions from Seattle, New York, Houston, Memphis. We had just great people that we could use as sounding boards and references. But there's also to just turn a blind eye to nutrition when it's been around forever, and it's such an easy connect. Oh, if I eat this, and if you eat a bag of popcorn or a box of Whoppers or a bunch of carrots, each one is going to leave you feeling differently. Yeah. And you could argue that all three of those are different forms of carbohydrate. So if a carb is a carb is a carb, why do you feel so different when you eat all of those?
Right.
Right? And you go, here's why. Because nutritionally, this one offers this one offers this, and this one offers that.
If you're a trainer looking to level up, grow your business, and actually connect with your client, they showed up, logged the work, and I could coach them through every rep. Trusted by top coaches since 2012, plans start at just $10 a month. And you get your first 14 days for free. So head to trainheroic.com/the kids table to start your free trial now.
Yeah. But how much comes down then to discipline? Because you take cancer and put it on the shelf of type 2 diabetes, of all kinds of other illnesses that people are going through. Even the menopausal or perimenopausal symptoms in the United States are much more severe than any other country.
And what's changed?
Because we're obese.
Our diet has changed. Our
diet.
Lifestyle and our environment.
But people aren't willing to eat better.
No.
We have a friend, and I don't want to out his story, but like he recently passed through the Sornix community, and he didn't address diet. And you have to address your diet if you are a cancer patient.
Food is information. People think of it as 100%. Just fuel. Food is literally information.
But it is fuel.
Also, yes, yeah. But fuel and information. They are worried that, so the oncologist would say to you, all I care about is I don't want this child to get cachectic, which is when their body starts kind of digesting itself, right?
Okay.
They just want calories. But in that same sentence.
Catabolic to you.
Okay. Yeah.
We're speaking two different languages.
Yeah.
At the same conversation, though, they have, and this was the reel that I just did, a candy cart on PD. I don't know if you had this at Vanderbilt.
Not a candy cart, but I opened the shelves and I went, "What is this?"
Yeah. Who's
funding this? Did I find the stash?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the stash. That was the supply.
That was the supply.
It wasn't somebody's stash. Yep. That was the offering.
They literally push a cart room to room filled with Doritos and soda and candy on the pediatric cancer floor. Mm-hmm. So I called it out. Just for fun, grab a bag of organic popcorn cooked in coconut oil with a little sea salt and scroll the comments. It is outrageous how misinformed America is. The backlash I got for saying that kids with cancer don't deserve candy.
Oh, come on. Is that when you thought you were going to go to jail?
Well, I'm going to go to jail because then people are saying, yeah.
Don't deserve sounds like a punishment. It sounds like you're not rewarding them. But what you mean is they should be treated better.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, but that's what I like that you use that word.
Yeah, me too.
It is a fast track to accelerating their cancer. Period.
And anybody, you go back to when you were sick with a cold, did your mom bring you an icy or did she say you want some chicken soup?
Right.
Right? I mean,
I was in boarding school.
But the other side of this is when you have people that are parents that are afraid, you have kids that don't feel well. It's a comfort. Candy is comfort. I remember when we were kids, the little suckers at the doctor's office when you had to get a shot.
Yes.
I understand there is a parallel with
correct.
This is an uncomfortable thing we're doing. Let me give you a treat. Right. And a reward. Why can't we create keto-friendly rewards on the cancer floor?
But I would argue this, and I talk to this with clients in the gym. I'm going to bring it back, Meathead Man. why is the reward always shit food?
Right.
Why is the reward always something that's bad for you? How about the reward is get some new sneakers?
I mean, I can answer it for you. I mean, even me, I had a really big month last month. I was very successful in my job. I thought my clients were crushing, and I was getting on a flight and I was like, I'm gonna get Twizzlers and Cheez-Its and I'm gonna watch Ghost. And I was like, that's gonna be so much fun. And then the cocktail cart came by. I'm like, I'll take a tequila on the rocks. And I was like, it was nostalgia. I was like, I'm so excited. And before we got over Denver, I was like in the toilet. And the next day I was in trouble and I was like,
alone?
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly, I haven't hit the Mile High Club yet, but I'm working on it.
You'll have to ask Josh about
DM
that.
my seat if you're in the plane on the way home to LA. Oh God. But no, and I realized, I'm like, Jen, this isn't the shape of food, but it's not real food. And I'm like, but what brought me there? And I find my answer to you is like, I don't care about new sneakers. I have these food comfort experiences that were built into my upbringing and my childhood, and I'm unpatterning. That's all. And next time I go on the plane, like I will pack other treats, but they will still be food though. I still want food.
And that's because food, like I live to eat. Some people eat to live. I literally plan my next meal while I'm eating my meal. Josh gets so irritated. But there's always a healthier alternative. A mom commented on that reel and was like, how dare you? My son's in treatment. You know nothing about this. She knows nothing about me, clearly, right? You know nothing about this. And all I could get him to eat were Ruffles and French onion dip. And I'm like, but that's because you gave that as an option. Like
This is a great conversation. Yeah. Cancer or no? Cancer or no? I remember I would finish dinner and I'm like, I'm full. My dad's like, okay. And then an hour later, I'd be like, Dad, I'm hungry. Can I have ice cream? He's like, no, but you can have more chicken, potatoes. Yeah. We got fresh bread. You get anything from dinner.
Yep.
I was not allowed. They're like, I'm like, but I'm hungry. I would cry. He's like,
then eat your dinner.
You can have as much of that as you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was it. There's no animal crackers. There's no other bullshit. It was, this is what we have for you.
The peanut butter I was doing when I shot it from Monroe, it was natural.
Good. I was worried about it the whole time. I'm like, do I need to detox her from aflatoxins?
Wait, was I wheeling the cart through the house? No, it was natural.
But is that I mean, what is that a parent feeling bad? That's
because you do. And I will say, this is the thing, and this is why I hope that parents that are listening that have a child know that, like, I know exactly what it feels like. You feel totally out of control. You feel the most helpless you've ever felt in your life because this is something you don't really feel like you can fix.
And they turned down, at least Monroe's case, she turned down a lot of food.
Oh, 100. Their taste buds
wouldn't
change.
Eat anything.
And one day they'll love salt. The next day they'll hate salt. One day they'll want fruit because they like sweet. The next day it is a full-time job.
You know where hers
changed
big time was after the stem cells took after the second procedure, which was my middle son, Jack. Zane was the first one, and then my son, Jack. But my other two, Henry and Sloan, both stepped up and were standing on the front lines ready to go. Talk about a proud dad.
Yeah.
So her taste buds were changing, and someone asked me, I never Googled it or perplexity'd it, but do her taste buds change because genetically, stem cell, bone marrow wise, she's a different person now? Does that change the food she likes?
I don't know for sure. I have heard that. I've heard that theory.
She would try foods that prior to the treatment she had loved, and she would take little bites and But
that I think is more of just the treatment, like the toxicity of it. Yeah. And it does affect your taste buds.
Yeah. Hers were definitely affected.
Yeah. Oh, significantly. And, but again, like circling back, we would go to birthday parties when Kicker was in treatment. We still had Christmas. We still did all the things. So when there was a dessert served at a birthday party, I always had something in my purse, like Jessica does for school birthday celebrations. They got their organic lollipop. Right. So they got their, homemade cupcake that didn't have food dye and high fructose corn syrup. So
I'll do something else. I'll say, if you don't do that, you're not having the dessert, but you're going to get 30 minutes more on a TV show tonight. Or I'll go outside on the swing set with you, or I'll go while you
we'll go to Target and get a toy or something.
Or even just time spent. Like I'll do the bike ride with you. And then I feel like I'm really doubling down. And Jess does it too. I'll color with you and I won't have my phone. So she'll spend that time versus
Yeah.
that's why I brought that up. Why is
Changing
it always
the treat.
Yeah, changing the treat.
change the treat? Or why does the reward always have to be a bad food or a food that you know is not going to serve you nutritionally or in any way other than experientially, like you said, you were patterning, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think for parents, this is the other part. They're tapped. You're exhausted mentally and physically. So then when I'm working with a family, it is a lot for them to like make these changes. And then all of a sudden they realize it's going to take more time in the kitchen and it's going to take more prep. So that's a lot. So you're kind of piling on a child that doesn't feel good, that's picky, and then a mom and dad that are wiped out, that are having to invest more time. But at the same time, what is the other option?
Well, I mean, there is none if you want that outcome to go in your favor. But my thoughts immediately go to any family going through a big challenge. How did you advise parents or even single parents to stay buoyant, connected, take care of themselves? Like, what is that guidance that you offer? Because I don't think you have to have a child diagnosed with cancer to understand the weight of a really hard time and not seeing the end of the tunnel, right? The light at the end, let alone the end of a day. Like, where do you take your guidance?
Well, I'll tell you off air one of the things we did.
I was just going to say sex all the time.
Oh,
which is hard. No, actually, we'll get to that. That connect truly.
That's actually really great advice.
It
sex
is
all the time
because you don't want to. You're so tired in your brain.
You don't want to.
Right. I don't want to. He always wanted to. But really that you think about it, like you're tired. He didn't want to hear me cry and talk about things anymore. And of course he did. And there was moments, but that's one gift that you can give each other that's not requiring a lot of time.
Ouch.
Listen, don't ouch it. It's not about a man's performance. This is about how much does it really take? They said it in Greece, 15 minutes. What's it?
Right.
You start at cancer and you end up at fucking.
Yeah. But what kind of window do you need?
Right. You don't. And it's free.
It is free.
It's very free. So anyways,
free?
but bouncing depends. Josh wouldn't think so. But before the sex, the one thing that you were talking about is what are some of the things you can do? And the number one thing in talking about the food thing, ask for help. People are offering, a lot of people offer, and it's hard to be like, I don't freaking know what I need. I need a housekeeper, a full-time chef, somebody to clean, you don't know how to answer that question. So as a friend of a person going through this, offer to bring meals. Like, hey, do you want to send me a meal plan? I'd love to cook meals and deliver them for you.
We have people, I'm not going to go through the names because there were so many, and we're in the South, so it's a big thing. Bring the food.
Yeah.
And one guy who's a dear friend literally left a text. He goes, I left a loaf of sourdough in your mailbox. And I was like, that is such a random text. I cannot tell you how welcome that was. And sourdough is also everything in our house is sourdough now.
Right.
But
it's approved.
It was it's right there in the mailbox.
That's so Tennessee.
That's so Tennessee. That's not happening in LA.
No.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, but it was just, first of all, the gesture.
Yeah.
The effort. I know where he drove from, and he drove and he got it and he stuck it in the mailbox. Just done. I didn't want to bother you. I just left it in your mailbox, shot you a text. Hope it helps.
And that's actually a really great point, because I had a friend that passed from brain cancer, and we ended up doing like an assisted suicide by the end for him. And there was a lot of things that went into that decision, and it was the right one for him and his family. But people just kept bringing cupcakes and donuts and strudels and bullshit. And it was like so much love, but in the wrong form.
Yeah.
And I almost wished, and like I brought in a chef that started cooking for them, but it was like one of those things that I wish I could have caught sooner. His wife didn't need the treats. Ira loves sugar. So it's like, it was taking him the wrong direction. Yeah. So almost having like these are the things plan. I need.
Yes.
But I think it's funny because you bring up a thought I have in my own mind. It's like in my hardest days when I often don't even know what I need, so I don't know what to ask for. So
and
maybe
if somebody asked, "How can I help?" You're like, "I don't know."
You're like, "Nothing. I'm fine."
I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wonder what that process is for every person. How can you get quiet enough to get clear enough to say, these are the things that I need.
Yeah.
Whether it's a time, an item, like whatever, pick the noun. Yeah. But like, I just was like, what is that process like?
And I think I coach my families through that. Like, have a notes section in your phone. And as things come up that like as I'm telling you things, or you need a new water filter, you're starting to write all this down. And when people ask, how can I help? You say, you know what? I just got a meal plan from our functional practitioner. If I sent you it, could you make 3 meals? Or I just found out that our water is super contaminated. We're trying to raise money to buy a water filter. Would you be willing to like start a GoFundMe? I mean, literally, like just having that note, and you have to train them that people want to feel helpful. It's selfish to keep them from that. You know, think about it. If your friend asks, or you want to help them.
Yep.
And when they say, I don't know what you're like, oh, I don't feel helpful. So if they did say, you know what, actually, could you make these meals or go to the grocery store? Here's a list of things I need.
Yeah.
Drop it off. I don't need to see you. I'm going to door dash it to your house.
I mean, I don't know anyone like in my immediate life with cancer, and I want to make the list. Like, I feel like, I mean, lately I've been feeling like worked over, and people are, what can I do? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm great. I'm like, I'm not great, actually. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think every person can use like a SOS list.
Only thing I could find, because Jess and I, after the first couple of days of sitting in the hospital and you're just staring and you can't believe what's just hit you. I said to her, this is bad use of our time, babe. I said, I need to go back to work. I need to be there for our other son. The 3 older kids are off the road. I said, I have to go and create the new normal for him, so he doesn't feel the resentment that he's ultimately going to feel anyway. But let's at least stop the bleeding, right? And then when I wasn't with him, I would go and try to spell her at the hospital, right? And I'd say, I can be here for 2 hours, or I can be here for 3 hours. So it gave me time every day with Monroe, but then she got time. And I don't know what she did, and I didn't ask. I think sometimes it was just come home, make meals, shower, go back to the hospital because she didn't want to be away. But hopefully maybe she took a nap in there, or maybe, just relaxing, got a manicure, just something. But I don't think she even allowed herself any of those things. But sometimes just the time, just driving from the hospital to the house, just to be out of the environment. Not that it's bad, but it is what it is. Yeah. And it does have a certain energy around it, regardless of how much they try to dress it up. And they do a great job, but it does take a toll on you. Oh, for sure. So if you give them time, and don't worry what they do with the time. I don't say, well, maybe you could go work out, hon, because then you're the asshole, right? So,
well, that works out for you. I mean, didn't you protect that time? Wasn't that your staple for you?
Yeah.
And that's a super good point, because in the beginning, through the whole thing, like guys and girls handle it all so different. Totally. Same with Josh. He's like, I need to get back to work to provide, number one. We have our daughter at home. And here's where the tension started, because I would, I'm the same. I wouldn't want to leave. Even if you offered to come sit with Kicker at the hospital, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to leave. Josh, I would let, but then he'd be off of work. I'm dealing with all the things all day. And so I mentioned it earlier. I just want to sit down and tell him about all of it. And I'm like, all my emotions. He wants to come home, and he wanted everything to be okay. And it finally came to a breaking point one night. I remember we got in this huge fight, and he told me in tears, he's like, you don't understand. I get it. He was a highway patrolman at the time in LA. And he's like, I get in my patrol car at 5 a.m. and I sob the entire drive to work. He's like, so I do deal with my emotions.
I get it, differently. Josh. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm
the same in my workouts here. I'd just be here. Sometimes I wouldn't even turn the lights on. Just the lights from the machines and the moonlight coming into the garage doors. And I'm like, I got to get through this. And it does hit you. And that's not that's just how we process.
Right. And we don't do it necessarily alone. Have to talk about it. And so we learned to kind of have like dates. We would still really try to do date nights. And we tried to be intentional of like, this is not a business meeting. This is a date night. So like, we're going to talk about other things. And that's hard because it's your whole life at the moment. But like tonight's just, let's have a couple drinks, not talk about business, but just life. So like trying to find, and we were not perfect at it by any means, but
drinks made from supplements and stuff.
100% open capsules, mix them in a little sparkling water, drunk through a stainless steel straw. Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah, no, that makes my mouth hurt.
Believe you. I just think about chipping my teeth. I immediately went there, but I was like, no, but
for all the people who can't, and I'm not on any timeline. I'm just thinking for all the people who can't get to you, unfortunately for them, and that's from personal experience, go down a little mini, if there is, template. I know each one is bespoke, right? Each one is curated case by case. Go down, if there is, 3, 4, 5 things that everybody should do.
Yeah.
Not when you get the diagnosis, maybe when you get the diagnosis, or maybe when you just hit a wall, or when whatever seemed to be working feels like it stopped working, and you turn and you go, I would call season now. I don't fucking know season. I got nobody to call. What can I do? And they hear this.
That's good. So I would actually, obviously nutrition, that's a whole rabbit hole. So without complicating it, the simple thing of just eat real food.
Or go the other way. Give them 2, 3, 4, 5 things to, no matter what, eliminate. If there are villains, if you're going to cast the bad guys, give me 3 bad guys, 3 good guys.
Brita water filters and crappy water. Your body uses water for almost every process in the body.
Oh, everybody.
And we have
clean water.
really clean, non-BPA free.
All right.
So clean water, number 1. We're doing that. We're drinking it to help detox. We're creating an environment your cells can communicate. Super important. You're also bathing in it. So cleaning up your water system. Whole house water filter is great, but if you're like me and you live in a rental, you're not going to do that. So you're going to get a countertop distiller. Okay.
That's because you're in California, by the way.
Right. Let's not talk about that.
I got a Berkey.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All the way.
So clean water. Number 1, when I think of foods, we do not get enough bioavailable actual vitamins and minerals we need. So the best source of that is organ meats. Good news is you're not going to have to gnaw on some liver.
I take the pills every day.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
I am tabling all the jokes.
Monroe
Oh, well,
takes
you have
the
children in
pills
the room
too.
now. I'm waving at Gunnar's kids, guys. That's what I'm waving.
Hi, guys. Okay, so organ meats in a capsule form, or you can gnaw on liver. Actually, funny story. You can also get a piece of liver, freeze it, organic, let it freeze for 15 days. This is so gross. Cut it up.
This is like Dances with Wolves here, but I'm in. I'm tracking.
Cut up chunks into little chunks. Throw it in and you're not cooking it. It's raw. You throw it in a smoothie, and you can't taste it. However, if you make the mistake I did, and your blender is just kind of on its last leg.
You had a dull blade.
Yes, and Josh took a sip. I have never seen him run to the sink so fast. He hasn't drinking a smoothie since.
I can't wait to tell my kids liver smoothies today, guys.
Yeah, but it has to be raw, right?
Well, the capsule
Ideally.
form is best. No, it can be be cooked. It's just gross cooked, I think.
My mom always used to make chicken livers and try to make us eat it, and I was always anemic as a kid, and I was like, she was like basting it in butter and doing it.
Which is actually
that wasn't so bad, but I take the capsules. I'm gonna actually now I want to check the brand that I'm using.
Yeah, we'll talk about it tonight.
Yeah.
So organ meat capsules are great because it's actually, and even when you start to understand genetics and the cancer genes and what we want to support, it is they provide the cofactors for almost every process in the body. Clean air. This is big because I look at a lot of toxin reports on kids and adults, and if the air in your home isn't clean because it's either moldy or you have toxic cleaning products that are off-gassing in your house, toxic body products. You don't have fresh air coming through. Super important.
I can't believe her starting lineup.
Yeah, right.
Water, air, food.
Right.
It's
so foundational.
Right.
But I will tell you, actually keep going with your
list.
list.
It's so hard to sell that though.
No, it is. But
listen, you're talking to 2 trainers. We sell this every day and we can't get people to do it.
I know. And you don't start, it depends on you hear your family. Where are they at? Where are we starting? Are they still going to McDonald's? We're going to not talk about an air filter quite yet. We got to make some other changes.
Right.
The last thing I would say that people do not recognize how incredibly disruptive it is EMF and RF, radio frequency EMF. So coming from cell phones, Wi-Fi, all the things.
My wife walks around now with the thing.
The tri-field meter.
Yeah, at soccer practice, she's like this. She goes, I can't bring Monroe here. The EMF, the reading is just
next to each other.
No, this is keep going. The little fanny pack. This was crazy. It's just you can throw my glass on the ground. Don't worry, Lily. So I have gotten nuts on this. Not nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it nuts. I have gotten really keen on this because I was learning about all this disruptive energy. I have like the sheet that takes stuff out of my body. And this is the one that I have. Hold on. And I want to know what's crazy is I saw it in Monroe's bedroom.
Yes.
Is this
Aries
the
Tech. Yes.
Aries Tech.
That is the only technology that I've studied this. I shouldn't say studied. That makes me sound really smart. I've looked into this for a decade.
No, this is insane.
Aries Tech is amazing. So yes.
Monroe let me borrow her bedroom. Remember when you let me stay in your room that one? Yeah.
Yes.
And I saw it sitting on the counter and I was like, wow, I'm already on the Monroe plan.
And on a plane too is the worst.
So I keep it on my body at all times in my bag. So it's just fascinating though, because I'm a pretty darn healthy person. And yet I can feel my life, my energy, my productivity changing. I feel like on a cellular level, when I changed my water, I've been taking the pills, the argan meat for like 4 weeks now. I've had this Aries thing for 8 months. I've got one in my house, one here, and I have a molecule in my bedroom. So it's crazy what you're targeting. I was talking on the phone. Who was I talking to yesterday? Doesn't matter. But like all these selling points on Instagram, like, you know, if you're in perimenopause, you need blank, like lift weights, good water, and like, it doesn't matter. Anybody, if you're a human, if you're living, cancer, no cancer, menopause, male, female, you need to take care of these core pillars of health.
And you think of, no, you're exactly right. Like without that, you could eat the perfect diet, spend thousands of dollars at Whole Foods. And if your nervous system is disrupted, your body will never prioritize healing. As you everybody take a deep breath. Because, so EMF, RF EMF, so the radio frequency coming from phones, computers, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, smart meters, if you could see what it does to your nervous system, it's like a heart monitor that's going like this, right? We want to see that on a heart monitor. We don't want to see a flat line. We want our nervous system to be a flat line, essentially, so that when it is safe and in homeostasis, it prioritizes healing. That's why they say when you sleep, you heal, not when you sleep in a house that's a smart home that has the internet on all night, that has security cameras.
Shit.
So all you have to do is unplug your Wi-Fi at night to make a huge step, right?
Can I just put my phone on airplane mode? It's the only thing I've got.
Yes. She said it's so guilty. It's the only thing I got.
I have a projector, so I don't have a smart TV. I have a projector. Well, I guess
put your phone on airplane mode, but I would turn your Wi-Fi off also.
We have this
on my phone.
No, in your house.
You want me to unplug her?
Yeah, I'll show you a device. It's like $5 and you put a remote next to your bed and you click off when you go to bed and
I want
click
it
on.
We'll put it in the show notes.
We have that, and we also have the it's not tin foil, but it's a foil thing
around.
Maybe my wife has it around the bed, and she woke up and goes, "I slept so much better. Did you?" I said, "Well, Monroe's in the bed, and I think she was doing karate because
sure.
I mean, I got punched in the face 7 times, groin kick, whatever. But other than that, it's supposed to. It reduces
grounding.
It's the grounding, but it also she turns off the Wi-Fi near us, so the EMF reading is way down. And then there's also the dirty electricity. Where do you get into that one?
Yeah, don't plug in. Do not charge your phone next to your bed.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay,
among other things. They come in just the outlets, like. If you have something like if you have the charger plugged in the outlet, but it's not being used, the guy red flags that. I just had the guy come by the gym and he made some changes.
Out.
Oh my God.
What helps? Okay. So what would you say to people that are listening to this are like, this is so woo. Jen's got some weird square in her bag. If you can't see it, it's hard to believe that it's real.
Yeah.
And by the way, this thing cost me like $100, that little one. I always argue, what you invest in your health now, you won't be paying later in medical bills.
100%.
Right. It is a fraction of the cost to invest now. Like I was just thinking, I only have one air purifier in my bedroom. I'm like, why don't you have one in the main room, Jen? You need to get one. Why don't you have an Aries in your main room? And I'm like, well, because it's kind of expensive. And I'm like, but your health now is all that matters. So what would you say to people that are thinking about that?
I never, ever would wish cancer on my worst enemy. Well, there's a few. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. I was like, oh.
Okay.
I tabled it.
No,
kids table after dark. This is getting serious.
But I wish the perspective. because I hate that it has to take a diagnosis like that to change your life.
Let me jump. It's so funny you said the perspective. The other day, something happened. I forget what it was. And my wife called me and she said, I have to, and it was whatever it was. I won't get into it, but it was dire, right? And I said to her, babe, you and I stood in the doorway of the room in Vanderbilt when the doctor came there with about 10 fellows around on their movable podiums, and they told us our daughter has leukemia. Do you think there's anything you're going to tell me now that is going to bother me? I said, hit me.
100%.
So that is just speaks to the perspective. Yeah. And she goes, okay, well, and whatever it was, we handled it. Not that it was easy or hard, it doesn't matter, but it's so far down the list of things that can derail you. And I agree with you. You wouldn't wish it on anybody, and it doesn't make you a hero for having gone through it. It's just another test, and we're all challenged in different ways, and you have to respect that. But it does shake up aspects of your life that you didn't think it might.
Yeah.
Right. And there is a ripple effect. There are the concentric rings of the cancer diagnosis and the announcement, and then what you do and how you handle that. It just changes. It brings certain people closer. It drives certain people farther. It makes certain things less important, certain things more important. It's very
everything gets micro all of a sudden.
Yeah, and some things completely go away.
And some things go away.
I just feel lucky to be 1 degree from, I mean, truly, like, I know Monroe and I know my friend's sister, and I'm so close to all these stories. And it's changed my life. Yeah. It's changed the way I look at things, the way I look at my heart, my so-called hard days.
I was looking at her son at dinner in San Diego a couple of weeks ago. I was down there for the HFA trade show. And I'm looking at him and he has like super cool surfer blonde hair. Like he's kind of a throwback. He, like I said before, he's beyond his years. Like he could have been a surfer in the 70s, right? Except that just the logo on the shirt was modern.
Yeah.
But he kind of has like a timeless look to him, and you're like, wait, that kid was sick? That kid had cancer? Like, unbelievable. How
old was Kicker when he got cancer? When he was
right before his 3rd birthday.
3rd birthday. And how old is he now?
15. And he finished treatment at 7.5.
Did he remember having cancer?
Yes.
Okay.
And every once in a while, he'll get really emotional. And I can tell he wants, like, something will trigger him. Every once in a while, and he'll want to know more or ask questions. The other day he said, did I almost die?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, buddy, you didn't almost die. And he's like, but I thought cancer is like really bad. I was like, cancer is really bad, but you didn't almost die. Like the doctors helped, everything we were doing helped. You ate so like, and he was like, huh.
Well, just because I remember you saying one of Monroe's doctors said she's so young, she might not even remember having cancer.
It shocked me. I was like, what do you sure remember? And then the doctor said, what do you remember from when you were 4? And I was like, okay, that's interesting.
But did you have trauma at 4?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But like, you can't tell me that little girl doesn't have the perspective from this experience.
Exactly.
Like, it is part of what shaped her, and it's part of what shaped
100%.
Yes.
Like,
they're different. They carry, like, Monroe, Kicker, they carry themselves differently. They approach life differently. Like, I watch my son get up at 5 a.m., go surf, then he works out, and he eats. So he is so disciplined. His best friend from Mexico is visiting for 4 or 6 weeks. Almost every day he went down to get donuts. Kicker would go with him. Never got donuts. Well, I think one time he did get donuts. He's so locked on. And I think it's also that it's the mindset that it's almost like, even though he may not remember all the things, he has a grasp on the fragility of life. And because I do what I do, he sees it a lot. And I'll watch him. Sometimes he doesn't want to look. Like, I'll be like, buddy, come say hi. Or, oh, you got to look at this. This is so-and-so. And sometimes he's just not. You can tell it's like a little too close to home.
Sure.
Which is interesting too. So, yeah, I think to answer your question, like, you're not going to,
you have to figure subconsciously there's something.
Yes.
I mean, it's got to be a therapist's dream, right? Like, oh my God, I could get into, open it up. What's under the hood? Like, it has to be super deep for them.
Which I think is a good reminder too for our kids and for us as parents that go through this, to make sure we're addressing the emotions that were trapped and hid and pinned up, and being proactive with that too.
I asked a question earlier. We didn't really get to answer it, and I'm still dying to know your response. So I'm asking again. where do you replenish your well, spiritually or emotionally?
Yeah.
Where do you find your orbit of all of this? You know, it's easy to become pulled into the center of somebody else's universe when you're caring at the level that you do. So where do you find yourself again?
So I always say, like, I couldn't do this without Jesus. Like that. I don't actually know how people would with like that spiritual leader or like presence, working out. And I work out oddly enough to worship music. I can't work out to like hip hop, or Josh works out to like metal, whatever. I work out to worship music. And I think that's like one of the best parts of my morning, because sometimes I will be in full.
Current, or do you go way back?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. Like do you know Keith Green? Do you remember Keith Green?
No, I remember Kirk Franklin.
Oh yeah.
Remember Amy Grant?
Yes. Christmas album. Amy Grant's 90s Christmas album.
Hit me.
The best. Oh, that's like my favorite Christmas album. Probably more current, but I think that it's like you start listening to the words, because every song is so like intentional, right? And you're like,
be like, to the window, to the wall. Different.
Oh my God.
Different.
When the sweat dropped down my balls.
Hey, whoa.
Skeet.
I do tell my kids.
He doesn't know the words of that song.
We should finish it for him. I do tell my kids, because they have to do shots of like their supplements. I'm like, I tell the parents, when you line up the shot glasses of all their remedies, you're going to turn on the song, shots.
Oh.
Perfect.
And you'll see some of my
music's
family's
motivational.
like,
we get that.
But yeah, I think
so. That's like your daily church. That's your daily worship.
Daily church. Yeah. And my husband, like, he is such a rock. And so like, I love being with him. I can like dump on him kind of the heaviness of the day.
Just like my wife.
She says the same thing about you.
Wow.
Yeah. And then honestly, it's like hearing from my families. Like when I get it, I'm with my families that I work really closely with, they can message me throughout the day, all day long. And I always say, when I enroll them into our program, I'm like, I look at messages from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Bullshit. I'm like on there before I go to bed, because I'm so invested in like, getting, even, of course, sometimes it's a hard message and it's hard to sleep, but usually just like the gift of like seeing kids, and they don't always heal, but seeing them improve their quality of life.
And I feel like you're sustaining a lot of hope where it's easy to go absent.
Yeah.
I guess my final question would be then, what shifted for you from being a parent with a young child going through this to something you said earlier, like you were living your life's purpose? How did you say, oh, that's what this is, and I'm clicking in? Was it a moment, or was it a gradual understanding, like clearing of the clouds?
So I remember we were living in Mammoth Lakes, and that's when he was diagnosed, and we're 6 months in, and he's killing it. He's doing so good. And I'm getting messages. I'm sharing casually online. I'm getting messages from mom after mom. My kid's on hospice, or my kid's vomiting. I can't get them to eat. What are you doing? And Josh said to me, you know what we need to do? Because we had families that raised money for us, but we had insurance, so we were, we had this money, and he's like, you need to just invite all these moms to our house and teach them what you're doing. So I turned that into our nonprofit that we have, Kick Cancer, and ended up 2 months later renting out a hotel in LA. We used the money people fundraised for us, hosted our first retreat, which we're hoping we can start doing again, and brought in 50 families and just taught them for a weekend. I brought in all our practitioners, like our team.
Come on.
Taught them, and all the kids were there. So bald kids seeing other bald kids. Didn't even have to hire volunteer nurses to come and hang out. It was the most beautiful weekend. And I was like, this is what we're supposed to do. This is not going to be wasted.
Yeah, man. That's what you're supposed to do.
So now our nonprofit's 10 years old. And that before 2020, we haven't done retreats. And my goal, we need to raise a lot more money.
Please let us know how we can help, because that would be amazing. This is a statistical question. Do you know how many of the kids that have been going through under your care, your retreat care, that are doing well? Do we have numbers?
So no, we started trying to do like case studies where they have to fill out a form to enter into our program. but there isn't a way to control completing it when they leave, which is kind of tricky. But I follow a lot of them. And I mean, I would tell you the majority are doing really well. There's, unfortunately, we've lost kids.
Monroe's doing well.
Monroe is doing so well.
Thank you.
Crushing.
She's doing so
the reason
good.
I bring it up, and I don't know if I feel comfortable saying the name of it because, and I can tell you once we're done recording, but we have a mutual dear friend that raised millions of dollars for cancer research trials, for 10 years worth of fundraising, and working with families, and your kids going into treatment, so you get an apartment nearby that they paid for, all this stuff. And they decided for their 10-year anniversary to go back and call the families and
see how they're doing.
And let me tell you, 0 of those kids made it.
No.
Because they did all standard of care medicine. Ugh. And it was the most devastating thing for this man. Ugh. And he's like, we've shut it down. Oh. And that's why what you're saying, that's what's like,
yes.
Are they, let's create an opportunity out of what is working, right, and put momentum and money behind that to get more families together and kids together. I know it's a devastating end, but when he told me, this was just 2 days ago, I was crying on the phone with him. I was like, this is not real.
He's and that's my why. Like, you have to give,
I'm telling it to you.
We can't say, like we talked about in the beginning, I can't save people. That's not my job.
No.
But I know I can give them hope. Hope is the most powerful molecule. Mm-hmm. And my dream for Kick Cancer, our nonprofit, is I want to fund air purifiers, water filters, saunas. I want families to be able to not even have to think about it. And like, don't worry.
Just give them their little care kit.
Here's your care kit.
It's there.
And it's like $5,000 worth of stuff that they wouldn't have bought otherwise.
No way.
Like, imagine. I just got goosebumps. I agree. Like, imagine.
I love it. I want to help you make it happen.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. You were going to say something, Gunnar.
I was going to say that Susan Johnson always has a seat at the kids' table.
Oh, thank you.
He says that when he's ready to wrap up. He's either got to pee or he's hungry. We love you. This has been so amazing. Thank you for coming. I'm going to grab a lot of, if you're willing.
Yeah. I'll share all the things.
The air, the purifiers, the waters, the everything. And if there's a place they can learn more about Kick Cancer, we can put that in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing.
You're awesome for coming. Thank you. And thank you for all the stuff you do, not just from our family, but from a lot of families out there.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Don't forget to hydrate, lift heavy, and call your mom. Actually, after listening to us, call the priest.
Please like and subscribe and comment, even if you only mildly enjoyed yourself.